Now I'm in the right stream. Sorry, I'm new to this, guys. Give me a heads up if you can hear me. I actually created a new stream by mistake instead of going into the one I scheduled. So as soon as somebody gives me a yes, you can hear me, I will get started. Okay, good. Thanks, Jim. Appreciate it. Okay, so I have a couple things to go over tonight. Obviously, a lot of things have happened this weekend. Um, with the meeting on Friday, and also the meeting with Bitsby Trippin and Micah on Saturday. A lot of new things came up. And so I wanted to go over some of these things because a lot of these things were new to all of us. So anyway, it was all very confusing. I don't think I have all the information. I think I have enough of the information to at least make things a little bit clearer. Um, Kind of like more like pond water instead of mud. Hopefully this will help. So anyway, so some of the things that are going on right now amongst the miners in the in Discord on the Ethereum R&D is they're putting together a poll. It's supposed to be coming out sometime next week. The general three directions are just be completely against or for EIP 1559 as is. Do some type of block reward increase or something that keeps the fees going with the miners through smoothing. So that's kind of a same type of direction of keeping those fees with the miners. And then the other one is basically something to eliminate ASICs. So those are the things. In my opinion, I don't really think that's really going anywhere because it's just an opinion of the miners as opposed to being focused on what we really have to prove to the core development group, which is there's a security risk by doing what they're doing, which maybe there is, maybe there isn't, and I'm going to go into that a little bit later. So anyway, I just want to give you an idea of that's some of the activities that some of the miners are currently doing. So keep an eye out for the poll next week if you want to vote in that. So I won't go into detail on what MEV is, other than this is something that none of us have heard about, and it's another type of reward that is given to somebody that takes advantage of it on the Ethereum blockchain. So Friday during the call, one of the users, people that were on the user side of things, Hasu and Georgios, had brought up MEV as hey, look, rewards aren't going down that much. You'll still have MEV. And all the miners kind of looked at each other and said, what the heck is MEV? So that's why it was helpful when Micah came on, made things a little bit clearer. But you could tell by the way that he was talking about it that the core devs and the users, when they say miners, they lump everybody in. So that includes mining pools as well as miners. So with this MEV, let me switch over. So with the MEV, and this is actually an article that Hasu wrote on the 26th, on Thursday, right before the meeting. So again, they brought this up on Friday, but once I saw this, I was kind of like, okay, they understand, but they don't care. So what I mean by that is they understand that miners aren't taking advantage of this MEV, but they don't care because they're like, look, you could be taking advantage of this, meaning the whole mining community, meaning the mining pools would have to do something, but we're just not. And that's the mining pools. Well, when I say it's the mining pool's responsibility, they're the ones who would have to take advantage of it and then pass along those rewards to us. As far as we know, they're not passing the rewards on to us and they're not taking advantage of it. So in this article, he talks about, what were the miners getting? They get the 2 ETH block reward, they get the fees from users, and third, The difficulty to quantify, but very high value miners can extract by inserting transactions at specific points in the block. This is called, and he says minor extractable value, but it is maximal extractable value. Say that 10 times fast. Or MEV. I'll stick with MEV. And most miners currently outsource it to front running and arbitrage bots who run bidding auctions with each other in the mempool. So they know, this is Hasu that wrote this, know that miners aren't taking advantage of it. But he's almost throwing miners under the bus saying, well, that's not our fault. You could be taking advantage of this, but you're just lazy. And obviously we know it's not miners that are lazy. If we were going to call anybody lazy, it would be the mining pools. But I really don't think that the mining pools are being lazy. This is just something that's new that even mining pools probably weren't familiar with how to take advantage of. So, and so I wanted to make sure that everybody understood this, that the users understand that the miners aren't getting this. They're trying to show that we could be, which would lessen the impact of 1559. Now, why are they bringing this up now? Because they want 1559 to go through. They don't want to have us bringing problems into this. So if they can find additional revenue for us that appeases us, that's good for us. That's good for them. Because then they're like, look, see, we showed you this. So can you just let it go through? So it's their olive branch, is the way I look at it. Now, the people that presented it, yeah, I would say they probably could have presented it a bit better and a bit less arrogant. But bottom line is I think it was done honestly. So that's basically what MEV is. I just want to make sure I'm hitting everything. So yeah, the miners are definitely, mining pools are definitely the ones that have to put this into place if it's going to be put into place at all. Okay, so I pretty much hit everything there. Let me see if anybody's got any questions about MEV, and I'll see if I can answer them. Yeah, I could give you the link. It's basically insights.deribit.com. If you search for Hasu and Deribit, you'll find his page, and the first thing on it is that. But I can put the link in the description. Not as familiar with Facebook or with YouTube to immediately do that during the stream, but I can definitely do that. And yes, they were arrogant as fuck. Sorry. Need to make sure that I'm not, although I don't really care. I don't have that many followers, so I don't think anybody's going to be really mad about it. But anyway, but yes, they were extremely arrogant, and they could have positioned themselves in a much better light with miners and made this a lot less antagonistic. Instead, they were just like on their high horse, like, look what we know. And that's great. We don't. So, and I think really Bits be tripping, who was on the call, handled it well. And he's like, look, I'm not familiar with this. I can throw in that data once I have it, he handled it like a true pro. All right. Thanks, Gundy. All righty. Well, let me get on to the next part. So the latest tweet, and this kind of threw me for a loop when I saw this, is Bits Be Trippin' basically found this tweet and was like, wait a minute. So his response to this, and we'll go into actually more of what it is, but basically with a change that Vitalik had made or proposed to make, which from what I could tell in doing brief reading, I didn't see a single core dev that was against this change. So it seems like it's going to be a pretty easy thing to get in there. But basically it will reduce the fees dramatically and especially reduce it to where MEVs basically disappear. So anyway, so I'm not so familiar with this to know exactly what this all means, but there were some other tweets that I was reading that basically said, yeah, anybody else notice that the fees are down? Some people were blaming Vitalik's announcement of trying to get rid of this self-destruct feature, which is where a high amount of the fees come from, evidently, and that's why a lot of the fees have been down. That is what has been insinuated. But anyway, let me get into this a little bit. So, this guy Dave McDonald said that fees from MEV racing will evaporate in London if the self-destruct refund is removed. How can MEV mitigate security risks from a sudden drop in minor revenue outlined by Bitsby Trippin if fee competition in MEV disappears? So, what I find interesting as I go into this, though, is that this is going to reduce fees, and we've seen that over the last few days. Now, is that a direct cause and effect? I don't know, but people have insinuated that. If it is, then that means we're going to see lower fees going into the next few months, heading into London, and therefore the fees will become less of a factor. So instead of having 50% reduction, maybe we'd only be looking at a 30% reduction, and maybe the block reward would change only, but the proposed block reward, in order to mitigate the security risk, may only be a quarter to a half. So let's just say that it's interesting to see how this thing is going to move forward. I didn't even have a chance to look. I just noticed that Tim had responded to this. I think he responded after I had seen this initial tweet, and I basically dived into it. So, like I said, I'm hoping I clear a little bit up about the MEV, but at the same time, it's still a cloudy pool of water that you have trouble seeing through, just because things are changing all the time. So, going a little bit more detail about the self-destruct, this is a feature that is used for a large amount of arbitrage trades. Arbitrage trades are where a lot of these high fees come from. So if they remove the self-destruct feature, a lot of that will go away. So anyway, that is my understanding of it. Hopefully my understanding is correct, but that's what I was able to garner from it. Again, I didn't want to make this stream super long, but is there anything I can answer for you guys that from the things I discussed tonight, or anything in general about 1559, or even about MEV? Going up through, yeah, the users don't care. They want 1559 one way or the other. They want to see less money going to the miners. They feel like they're overpaid, and that is deflating or decreasing the value of what they hold dear to them. And you could tell by the way they talked about it, they did not care about security whatsoever. They had no clue about it. So yeah, they were only talking from their point of view, and it was a very myopic point of view. Um, I don't, Chris, I don't know. It's a good question. I think Micah, I think somewhat answered that last night, that he was not profiting from it. At least I didn't get that impression, but just that he was in touch with them. Again, it's really hard to say. I mean, if you're a politician and somebody can figure out whether or not you're profiting for something and you have a conflict of interest, that's a lot easier to find. But in the Wild West that we're in right now, there's probably going to be no way to, really determine that. Yeah, as far as what we're going to mine next, I think that's a bit overblown. I think that Ethereum's value will come back. And I mean, if you think about where we are right now, our profitability is still really good as to where it is today. think about where we were in October or September. I know in August we had some really good days, but I mean, it hasn't been that long where, 1 gigahash was, $30 a day. So we can't, we've seen spikes before. We have to understand that this is a spike. It's going to come back down. It has to. It will come to an equilibrium. The biggest reason why this has lasted as long as it has is because nobody can get cards. Now, obviously, people are getting cards, but could you imagine if cards were readily available? The hash rate would be out of control. Would be more out of control than it is right now, and the difficulty would be spiking incredibly, and our profitability. I mean, I could easily see the hash rate if cards are readily available would be 700-800 terahash right now. So again, it all comes to an equilibrium. It eventually it comes to a point where people say, you know what, it's not worth it to get more GPUs. It's not worth it to get into mining at this profit level. I've said since this started, I wish, and I know this sounds crazy, I wish the profitability would come down so that we could have this last longer and have more predictable profits. This spike, and who knows how bad the fall is going to be. But anytime you're in some type of economy like this, or like anything, real estate, stocks, whatever, the faster it spikes up, the harder the fall. And we're setting ourselves up for a hard fall, regardless of 1559. We're gonna have a hard fall. Let me see if I missed anything. Taines, I'm not sure what your question is. Are you talking about the one that I've got up on the screen? Um, so I'll look down and see if that's what you're talking about. So anyway, so chump change. So what are we mining next? I still think we're going to be mining Ethereum. I just think we're going to have things that are going to be a lot closer in value. I think Raven coin, because of its market cap, is best positioned in the short term to take a good portion of hash rate. The real key is will its value go back up? So hard to really say, but I would say right now I'd say Ravencoin's probably the best. I mean, Conflux is just such a small hash rate that just if even like 3-4% of the hash rate went over there, it would have what the profitability is on Conflux. So Fero's another one. That's got a significant amount of hash rate. It doesn't look that way, but when we're talking about what does a 3060 Ti, for example, do on Ethereum? It does 60 megahash. Well, what does it do on MTP? Well, it does like 3.5. So it's factors down. So you have to look at what the factors are as well when you're looking at how much hash rate it can take. Excuse me. But who knows? Something else may pop up. You never know. I mean, Conflux kind of came out, in my opinion, came out of nowhere. There's another one, I think, Son of a Tech mentioned today. I think it was Cortex, I think was the one he was talking about. That the profitability on that actually is really high. I haven't looked into it. And I was honestly, sorry, Son of a Tech, I was half listening. I was in the midst of talking to somebody else and didn't go back to it. I meant to, but I didn't. But anyway, I know that what he was talking about is he's like, yeah, if everybody on this call went over to Cortez, it would kill the profitability of it because that's how little the hash rate was. So there's a lot of things that'll go into it. We'll eventually find some equilibrium. There may be a period of time where it might be unprofitable until we can basically get through, the market. But it all depends on, if Ethereum continues to grow, or we're talking about, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 Ethereum. I mean, value of the cryptocurrency takes care of a lot. So again, really hard to, really impossible to predict what we're going to be doing. Like I said, my prediction is I think we're still going to be mining Ethereum. No, we don't want you pocketing it all, Chris. I have mine on FlexPool, so no, we don't want you pocketing it all. But yeah, they are still in alpha. That's the one that Micah had referred us all to. Well, let's see. Are there any other questions? I don't think I missed anything else. Like I said, I didn't want. Oh, hang on. So Taines said, should we be having more of a conversation with the mining pools since they are the ones that aren't taking advantage of MEV? Yes, I think right now it's out there. Now I know that Chris is with FlexPool. This took him by surprise. I know he's looking into it. People at Flex and other people at FlexPool are looking into it, but it isn't as simple as they're making it out to be. This is complex, and there's a reason why it hasn't been done by mining pools yet. I truly believe that. So, like I said, it's really easy for a user to say, well, why aren't you taking advantage of this? Well, do we really know like how much effort the people that are taking advantage of it put into the software development of it? Pretty sure it was a pretty complicated thing. I mean, even as Micah had talked about, he basically correlated it with automated trading, how automated traders on the New York Stock Exchange make sure that they have locations that are as close to the exchange as possible so that they can save a half a millisecond. This is similar to that, except this is a more of a global, you don't know where the transactions are coming from, so there's not a single location like that. But at the same time, the people that write those programs, those auto trading programs, again, they're expensive, they're complicated. It isn't something simple. So I basically think that MEV software development is similar to that. Yeah, I know that there's UU Pool that is taking advantage of it. I was trying to review some of their transactions to see if I can make some sense out of it. Like I said, this particular tweet, you really want to dive into it. Find this tweet, go into Dave, and then Dave refers to this Nick guy, and then Nick has like a whole bunch of things that I'm not even going to go through, but there's a lot of detail in there about where to find, how to find particular MEV transactions, what you should see in these particular instances. So again, you want to go into the detail, go through that tweet. It's pretty interesting. Let's see here. Hey Nem, yeah. If I ever decide to turn them off, which I probably won't, yeah, just I'll have you come over to my house to pick them up. Um, yeah, I would really like to see that. But again, just like the people that are doing the arbitrage want to stay quiet, so do the people that are taking advantage of the MEV as well. They don't want to publicize it. So, yeah, those people are going to be hard to find because they want to continue taking advantage of it without sharing their information. Well, Chris, if you know of any other pools besides UU Pool, I'd be curious to know which other pools. And then Nemesis asked which ones. Oh, come on, throw them under the bus, Chris. You offered the information. Spill the beans. All right, guys. Like I said, it's a Sunday night. I didn't want to take up too much of your time. Like I said, it was just a lot of things that were stirring on my mind that I wanted to share. Any other questions before I let everybody go and enjoy the rest of your night? I'll give it another 30 seconds to see if anybody... Well, Chris, actually, read this tweet. They're saying if this self-destruct goes away, most MEV will be gone. So that's what's going to be interesting. And there are definitely some people that are very, very upset. But I think as somebody had mentioned, like people were like, this arbitrage it may be legal, but is it ethical? You're taking advantage of things, and I don't know. there's definitely been some people that have some opinions about some of the trading, and I think that's where the all core devs were like, yeah, we really don't like what the self destruct is doing, and the self destruct for various reasons needs to go away in preparation for ETH 2.0. So it's, from what I could gather from it, it's not a if it needs to go away, it's a when. And before everybody gets used to it, I think Vitalik is saying, yeah, this needs to go away in London. So anyway, alrighty, guys. Well, thanks everybody for showing up. I appreciate it. 31. Thanks again for showing up. I appreciate it. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. I will be taking a look at them. Otherwise, I'm sure there will be plenty more 1559 content, not just by me, but by others.